I went beyond full
Oh,
retard.
oh, you
You know what I
went
mean?
beyond full retard and you conceded in
Yeah.
the opener. Yeah.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Thing of beauty,
Oh,
ain't it?
yeah. It's beautiful. Now what?
But yeah, no, like this is what I'm saying. Like we can do Christian God for that, or like I said, we can just kind of go back and forth in terms of like how this completely destroys the atheist position.
Well, we already know how it destroys it. The atheists can't ground any of the things that they're appealing to. Hence, like if they say naturalism is a good explanation for things, they need to appeal to metaphysics, and naturalism can't appeal to metaphysics. So they might say the world itself is eternal, but they'd have the same problem. The world consists of immaterial things that you don't see, so they're
Mhm.
in deep shit. So I mean,
And
what else?
furthermore, even like the very like technology that they're using, the laptop with the computer that they're using during the debate was first once an idea before it's physical.
Okay. Well, we might as well. We should just pair up as
We
a
could do
team and ask two atheists to come out of the chat and try to argue that that materialism and naturalism can ground these metaphysical things.
Yeah, like I said, or if we do it in the future as well, because like I can twist it into like the Christian God if you want to take that, but I don't want to put you on the spot.
I mean, if there's nothing to debate, I mean, I have a full glass of bourbon here, and you know,
Let's start the party. So, how was your Book of Job?
wait, what? How was my? Is that a phrase in Ireland?
How
How,
is it's just the way Irish people ask, how's your Book of Job? Like
oh,
what are you
how's
like in
my?
terms of Book of Job? Are you well read or
No, not really. No, I thought you were referring to like something I'm going through in life or something. Like I thought that was an Irish reference, like things not
sure?
going well.
Sure, you know yourself, dilly eye potato.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, or what's the crack? In terms of the Joe, the way I read it, or the reason why I can't call myself Christian, well, like I said, like I would argue that God is real against two atheists in future. If you ever want that, Jim Bob, as well, like more than happy. Like the reason why like I can't do it is because in terms of like the way I read Book of Job is like a test. You know what I mean? Because like in terms of the like when you look at like Satan or like the adversaries, like
Hmm.
original Gambit, it's that the only reason why he'd worship you is because you give him stuff, and at the end, God gives him twice the amount of things.
Hmm.
But to the atheists out there, that's not me striking against Christianity. That makes it one of the greatest stories ever written because it's literally a test within scriptures. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Is there any?
but
Is there anything we don't agree on necessarily? Maybe something political or.
hang on a second. But like my whole thing is that I've been getting called a Satanist and a heretic for giving that interpretation.
Oh, of Job there? Well, no,
Yeah,
it's I would say I mean that's a little far. I would just say it's you're saying that there's truth in parable or truth in symbol or truth in some sort of moral of the
yeah.
story in the Bible that you take value in. In particular, this references Job, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure why that would follow that you're a Satanist. I'm not sure where people jump there, but I would just simply say if I'm not sure what reason you have not to be Orthodox Christian, except for proximity, and you're just too fucking lazy to get on your green bicycle.
Like again, I know I don't want to be putting you on the spot and all this kind of stuff because, like I said, we agree. Like that's the one thing that like I've been sitting here kind of saying I agree with these guys like so much on this kind of shit. But in terms of like the question, like do you believe the virgin birth actually happened?
The virgin birth?
Yeah, and again, if you
Yeah,
just want to say I'm not trying to put you on the
sure.
spot or like that.
Yeah, virgin birth. Yeah, I believe that. I believe actually considering the miracles, virgin birth seems like not so big of a jump. I mean, look at the creation of the universe. If you thought it was plausible that God could literally create the universe from speaking from a conceptual will of good, um, certainly having a woman, a particular woman, the Theotokos, become pregnant not from natural means is like, I mean, that's like God. I mean, that's like minimal, I would say, a minimal event in the grand scheme of things. I don't
But like it
understand.
goes,
Like, are you
yeah.
approaching that from a naturalistic perspective, and you're going, I just don't. That's one thing I can't get behind. And it's like, um, have you witnessed the regularity of the universe?
The way I look at it is in terms of the modern day, to cut straight to the point, in terms of modern day, and I'm going to go a bit like ancient Greek in terms of this, in terms of names, but I'll give the modern day example as well. So I think I need like 2 minutes or whatever. So like the way I look at it is like Zeus is coming back, and like I said, I keep saying that you got the Zeus beard. Like literally, if you made like a marble statue of Jim Bob, he would literally pass as Zeus. You know what I mean, you're seeing this kind of rise back up because at the moment we have Kronos, and Kronos literally eats his own fucking children. Like he basically just, like trades the future for the present power. And this is what you're seeing manifest in terms of like all these like left wing and all this kind of shit, where they're euthanizing the old, the women are killing their children, and then they're also sterilizing them even if they get born. So like even just to survive as a thing, but like this whole thing of difficult times make difficult men, because the actual conservatives coming out off the right wing, they're more hardened than any of us motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Because like the best I had to do was like avoid like a bar stool or some shit like that. Like when I was a kid, these motherfuckers have to avoid getting their dicks cut off. You know what I mean? And like that's where it's like I can make the joke and all this kind of shit with the leprechaun shit, but like in terms of the serious shit that's going on there, that shit needs to go to Tartarus. That needs to go away and get wiped out. You know what I
On
mean?
what
So
basis?
in terms of we will not have a future, things will
On
end.
what basis do we need a future from your worldview? For what purpose? Oh,
This is gonna no, this is gonna sound like a cop out, but it's
oh
like
shit!
no, because meaning.
No. Why meaning? Why pursue meaning?
Yeah,
Why?
because
What?
meaning is life, which ties back to the
Yeah,
whole
but
discussion in
why?
terms of God.
No. Meaning isn't life. Life itself doesn't give you meaning. Something must have given us life. If life is the precondition
Yeah,
for meaning,
the
you're going to ask the
metaphysical,
question about. Well, yeah. If the metaphysical necessitates God, then
the
you're going to
eternals.
have to when you criticize the psychopaths that you're up against. When you say we have to stop this or we have to fight against this, there has to be some divine justice or an ordering of sorts. And I don't
Yeah,
mean justice like punishment. I mean justice like you're helping align reality with a will outside of your own, to a will outside of your own. But from your view, that's why I asked you, why do you understand this stuff, but you're not Christian necessarily? I don't understand the why you're caught in between.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just in purgatory, but I'm kind of like, if I could use a title or commit myself to a title or a word, it would probably be
No,
like
no,
an
no,
instrumentalist.
no, not a
You know what I mean?
title, a practice, a purpose. The title itself isn't what you're after. It's the
Yeah,
praxis you're after. So what are you
yeah.
practicing? If I granted you any title you thought sounded good, what are you
Seeking truth,
practicing? No,
seeking truth,
what? Speaking truth?
seeking truth,
Seeking
or
truth?
wisdom. Yeah, wisdom probably, but more.
Okay, and then how do you know you've found wisdom if you're not Christian?
Again, it sounds like give you the thing you want. It would align with God. It would align with the truth. It
Who's
would
God?
align with.
Yeah. Who's God?
I know we're going here. So, like I said, in terms of the who, that's where I'm kind of like I don't know where or why it's even needed. If you could,
Oh,
like explain that to me.
so
Sorry.
you can align your will to God, but you don't know who God is or what you're aligning your will to?
Yeah, like I've got the like I think when you talk about like that first baby step, like I have that like first baby step in terms of like clearly there's an essence or there's something that's causing this change. This change is not just random, it's clearly ordered. Like we can see this like the scientists, this is where like with my argument, if they try to deny it, that like they trap themselves and they start denying science. They're saying, oh, there's no order to chaos, it's all random. Then explain the solar system, this shit you believe in, etc. etc. But like in terms of this, like why do we need a who? Is a question I see a lot of both you, Jay Dar,
Yeah.
Andrew, and all this kind of stuff.
Well, because a who, if the truth is just a set of propositions to you, then it's particular. And So if truth is grounded, ultimately it would need to be grounded in a being, and beings are whose, they're not its. So you're kind of floating around in the theological ocean. You're basically like Helen Keller, but by choice. Um, Basically refusing to follow through with the necessary condition that truth itself needs to be grounded in a knowable being. Otherwise, it's a set of propositions that precede you that other people said before you. And so, what are you aligning with? Like when you say what's truth, the same question I asked you 2 years ago is apparently still lingering. The question, what is truth, is a trap question, because the only logically coherent question is, who is truth? What is truth is chasing gnosis. It sounds like you're in a sort of gnosis phase where you're chasing descriptions of reality and pontificating different ways of looking at the world as it is, as opposed to pursuing participation in a who. Now, isn't it interesting, Teriak, that when you do come to a descriptive claim and seeking truth, what's the first thing you do when you come to something you believe is true and you're excited about it? What's the first thing you do?
Eureka, or
Yeah,
get
when you have a
excited.
recur, yeah, once you get that, you have it.
Yeah,
What's the first thing you do with that?
speak it, or
Yeah, you tell someone, don't you?
mm-hmm.
So even in the lackluster definition of truth you have, once you have an element of truth or some nugget as an experience, the first thing that you're drawn to doing is participating in that with people. Your first thing is to share it with someone, participatory. It's
Yeah.
participatory. So if the truth is participatory and it's person to person, it makes more sense even intuitively that the truth is a person. Otherwise, what are you interacting with? A rock, a set of particular trees or something? Like the sky looked a certain way, and that's it. Like that's just like temporality. You're just participating in temporality and sharing your descriptions of the beautiful world or the ugly world with people. So that's the big question, is like, if I asked you what's your purpose here and you said to seek truth, and I would say, why seek truth? And then you go back to meaning. What I'm saying is seeking truth makes sense from a Christian worldview if the truth is a person. And that participating in truth through the Christian paradigm, in particular orthodoxy, in theosis, is the practice of participating with truth as a person. And that supersedes and exceeds any of your experiences of propositional truths where you're like, well, I just figured this out, you guys. Here's how I say it.
No,
Here's how I say this truth. Well, what if I told you that the statements of truth are secondary? Those are secondary. They're not important propositions about things. But when we come to the grounding of truth as a being, I'm telling you that you can actually participate in that. And it's not strict propositional, right? Like all these debates, they're all propositional. But everyone knows in the chat who's Orthodox knows that when you walk into the parish and you experience divine liturgy, you're no longer confined in this propositional truth world that the debate sphere and all these panels have, right? So, don't pretend you haven't been told.
Yeah, no, I'm not pretending. No, I'm just saying in terms of the questions, in terms of like the who and all this kind of stuff, like even like the word particular, in terms of like the singing and all this kind of stuff. Then even that aspect where like even as society now, one danger is this whole thing of like the AI. Like
Yeah, they're
that's
gonna,
like
yeah,
the bit where
AI,
you're
sure,
like
AI,
that
but
isn't
what's the
it.
fear? Yeah, but what's the fear of AI though? I mean, it all comes down to whatever you think you're pointing to, Teriak, in the world, political stuff, technology, bad philosophy, Islam, trans stuff. Without just leaning on your own intuitions, there has got to be a grounding foundation for why any of that stuff is wrong or disordered or off the mark or sinful or anything. The moment you make a sort of like a charged political statement about it, oh, we got to stop this, right? You said wipe them out, right? Well, I have the same impulse, but the thing is, if you don't have a justification for that, then you're kind of floating just like they are. So it's like, I mean, what are you waiting for? Why aren't you? Let me
Yeah.
ask a question. Why aren't you is Muslim?
Yeah. So like in terms of like what I see is that across many spectrums, like an example that I commonly for on my channel is like Easy had the dude First Amender here, one of the trans dudes, and he was like doing the debate of like trans woman is a woman,
Mm-hmm.
and like he was asked like what is the definition of is, and he wasn't able to give it. You know what I mean? But is and equals are synonymous, which I'd also put truth in terms of like that aspect as well.
So why aren't you
But
Muslim?
yeah, so but I'm getting that like in terms of like when you look at like the aspect of like Islam versus Christianity, it's a basically a bastardized version of it. The way I look at Christianity is it's like it's mirrored in the ancient Greeks, it's mirrored in the Norse mythology, it's mirrored all over the place. But when you bring in Mohammedan situation, it doesn't
So you're saying it's not
comport with history.
coherent?
Yeah, true.
You're not Muslim because it's not coherent?
Yep.
Okay, why aren't you Calvinist?
Because predeterminism is a load of bollocks.
Okay, so there's free will. So you have to have, if you're leaning toward a God view that requires free will, you move Calvinism aside. Okay. Well, how about Mormonism?
Yeah, I know we're going to liturgy. We're going to liturgy.
You have Mormon face, by the way. So you look like a Mormon. So I mean, you got the foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so why aren't you Mormon?
What's the whole thing with Mormons? I've never really kind of like looked into the.
Well, I mean, they posit that there's no creation and that matter is eternal, and they call it spirit matter, and they believe that God the Father was once a human, and that godliness is a graduation from humanity, and that there is a endless regress of father gods all the way back.
A load of bollocks.
Forever. Well, yeah, right. It's incoherent, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so can I just give you the example? Like this. Sorry, Jimbo. Sorry.
No problem.
All right, we little leprechaun. Like, for example, like Nala Ray is a Christian. Okay.
No,
Christian. Okay.
Go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But like when I look at like Andrew Wilson, when I look at you, when I look at Jay Dyer, you aren't giving me the I have private conversation with God and God's helping me, like all this bollocks. Like you're saying the Mormon, all that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. When you come out, you're literally imploring, like, what I say is the logos, the truth, the logical arguments, all this kind of shit. That's why, like I said, like the whole kind of crucial thing is like.
Okay, but that's I understand, but you're thinking yourself into this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're stuck on philosophy and thinking, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is thinking a bad thing?
No, I'm just telling you that there's going to be limits to you thinking. So if you're trying to think your way to the truth, let's say the path is narrow and it's orthodoxy. What I'm telling you is there's a whole other category of experience that isn't propositional or thinking. And so, but you're stuck in your chair on the internet like the rest of us, looking at a camera, trying to proposition and think our way into godliness. And I'm saying that that's not the route to take, and that there's a whole other aspect of your reality that'll be fundamentally altered if you start going to divine liturgy. And you'll go, Jimbo, what the fuck? Why'd you take me so long to tell me about it? And I'm going to say, well, the thing is, you're trying to think your way in, and you can't philosophize your way into that. So you understand already. This is good because it shows me even more so that you have no more excuses. There's no place else for you to think, Teriak, because the thinking isn't enough. You've already thought your way to necessitate God. You've already reasoned your way why these other things aren't the option because of coherency, right? They're incoherent. If God exists, his church, his practice is going to be coherent. Well, what I'm telling you is I can't tell you that, like I could assert that about orthodoxy, but I can't get that into your being from my speaking. The only way you're going to understand the coherency and practice of orthodoxy is that you go. That's the only way to do it. I can't tell you, there's no smart person like Jay or me or anyone else who's going to help you think your way into the doors. You're just going to have to go, and you're going to see a whole new side of what you thought was purely philosophy, and really you're going to probably, like me, enjoy it even more because it's absent all of this overthinking shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So,
Yeah. Like what I'm saying is that like, I agree with like the whole Trinity and all this kind of stuff, like I said, but like the way I look at it is like I also want the ancient Greeks, I also want the Norse, like I want all these stories. I just love stories. You know
well,
what I
no,
mean?
that's great. There's actually a distinction in orthodoxy called logos spermaticos, and what it does, like for instance, let me ask you, if there's some truth in paganism, or some truth in this, and some truth in that, isn't it true that if there's particular truths in all of these other traditions and theologies, isn't it true that
There's
there needs to be
universal.
something? Yes.
Yeah.
So there has to be
Yeah.
something that's ultimately true, a paradigm that's ultimately true, for you to look over at anything that's partly true. And so obviously, if you took something that resonated for the word resonate, if that resonated for you in some sort of Norse tradition, you're not practicing it, right?
No, like where I'm coming from the point of view is that when you look at like if Christianity is like the one true way, or Orthodox, specifically Orthodox Christianity is one true way,
Yeah.
even looking at like Norse mythology and looking at it from the perspective of Loki, it's like that would be something you would necessarily want if you were an Orthodox Christian. You'd want Loki to bring Ragnarok. You'd want Prometheus
No.
to stand
Orthodox
against Zeus.
doesn't. No. Orthodoxy doesn't ground our practice in our wants. That would
Yeah,
be
well, I'm probably
utility.
phrasing that wrong.
That would be utility based, like you're looking for outcomes in the world, particularly. What we are after is theosis, and that's not something that's going to be grounded in the material rearrangement of objects out in the world. You can rearrange objects to suit your needs, and you could have spiritual vacancy and prelest, total delusion, confusion, and depression, and yet in the midst of everything, seemingly fly on the water, fly on the wall, completely ordered in your favor. Oh, you got a car, you got this, you got that, everything's working well. What's up? What's the problem? Well, the thing is, we believe that part of this reality is our spiritual ailments. And what do you do when you're broken? I mean, not so much these days after COVID, but what do you usually do if you have a broken arm? You don't you don't you don't Google what to do with a broken arm, right? Where
Yeah,
you
you
go
go
to
to
the
the
hospital.
hospital.
Yeah. So the part that seems to be missing in your talking is that there's a spiritual problem. Is there a spiritual problem?
No, like I said, in terms of that aspect of the Holy Spirit, like that's why, like what I was saying in terms of change, like that's the physical manifestation of the quote unquote spirit.
Right, but I'm saying, is there a spiritual problem with man?
Clearly,
Okay, so you believe in sin and fallenness and falling away and moving away from God, privation wise.
yeah. Like
Okay,
what like Christian would say is sin, like the secular deities would say that's ethically dubious or ethically bad or whatever. The fuck, do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
again, like
But
it
I'm
just
saying as
yeah.
spiritual, not just like a normative, like oh, you did something against what the society deemed to be normal. I'm saying that you can act against yourself, right? Spiritually.
Um yeah, of course.
Okay. So if you can act against yourself and harm yourself, wouldn't you be after the proper true paradigm that can account for what that is, and the proper hospital to go to heal the
Hmm.
wounds that are inflicted by yourself? Doesn't that make sense to you?
Hmm.
So yeah, why aren't you an Orthodox then? I don't get it. I'm still confused about this leprechaun.
Yeah, because like if I broke my leg, it's like I don't like care who's like fixing my leg. I just like need the first person available to fix my leg, kind of thing.
Well,
You know what I
no,
mean?
there has to be a leg specialist. You don't want a shitty person who doesn't know what they're talking about fixing your leg, right? Some Mexican somewhere, just
Hey,
in the
if he gets the
alley.
job, if he gets the
No.
job done, do you
Well,
know what I
no, you
mean?
won't know. You won't know if he got the job done. So he might accidentally get it done, but it's not doesn't follow that you'll go back to him in the alley, right? So the question is, if there's a truthfulness to the statement, there is spiritual illness. If you believe that,
Hmm.
if there's spiritual illness, there is spiritual wellness.
Point, there was like demoralization, like that's an objective phenomenon, and like the people who like
Mhm.
deny objective morality are fucking retarded. Like they've
Right.
done this,
So if
but,
there's
but notice Jim Bob, they went after objective truth, they went up after objective morality and objective beauty as well. fat is
Okay.
apparently beautiful now. Yeah, go ahead.
So if spiritual illness is a movement away from wellness, then there's a standard for spiritual wellness. And if there's a place to get spiritual wellness, I'm asking you, why are you still sitting in your house talking on the internet, trying to do philosophy debates about something that
Mhm.
the only thing that matters in this particular category is seeking spiritual wellness? You can't, do you agree you can't seek spiritual wellness on a panel?
Uh, well, like, to find the difference. It's still two individuals communicating.
Well, you're participating with someone else, right?
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
not God, right? I'm not God, right?
This actually came up in the page debate, like, this whole thing with, like, the whole digital thing. It's like, is that, like, a public setting? Is that
Yeah,
a
so why
home
don't
setting or a
you, I don't
private setting?
understand. Why don't you go to church?
Um, but I don't feel as though I need it, though.
Oh, so you are spiritually well.
Oh, no, I thought you meant in terms of society, what I see in society now. Like, society is spiritualist. Like, the atheists who would deny change, all this
Are
kind of shit,
you,
like,
no, no, no. Are you spiritually pristine right now?
I don't know what that means.
Like, do you know what it feels like to be spiritually unwell?
Yes.
Okay. And do you think that being spiritually unwell, it follows that there's a way to heal spiritual unwellness?
Yeah, true.
Okay. It, if there's a church that is the hospital for spiritual unwellness, and you
Mhm.
believe that there's such a thing as spiritual unwellness, why do you not go to the spiritual hospital for your spiritual unwellness?
Because I can treat it myself. It's not physical, it's metaphysical.
Oh, oh, how do you heal your spiritual unwellness yourself?
Because I've been there. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, in terms of being able to rationally and kind of like logically get myself there. But like I
Wait,
said,
so
in
you
terms of like
think, wait a second,
spiritual,
you
yeah,
intellectualize your band-aid for your spiritual unwellness is intellectual?
the intellect, yes,
So would you be raised Catholic or something?
yeah, bang on, spot on,
Figures.
spot on.
Figures.
He's
So
got me,
yeah.
boys.
So um so if your intellect can be clouded by sin, how can your intellect heal you?
Uh, that like that's why I point to the divine intellect.
No, you don't have divine intellect unless you participate with that as a person. But so the question is, do you agree that if your intellect as a symptom can be flawed because of your spiritual illness, then you
Hmm.
can't appeal to your intellect to heal your spiritual illness because your intellect is the infection, is the thing that's flawed. So if
I
your
think I know
intellect,
where. Yeah,
so
yeah, I think where we're going. So it's like basically, it's like why would you not go to the literature and all this kind of stuff? Because like even as an individual, as you're coming into the world, how do you know things like forgiveness is actually a good thing, all this kind of stuff, and all this the things. Yeah, no, 100%. Like
well,
I've no issue with like people going to the Orthodox, all this
no,
kind
no,
of
I
thing.
didn't ask. I didn't ask if you had an issue. You obviously have an issue with yourself going, and that's the only thing that matters right now. Is that if you agree that your own remedy that you stated is flawed, your own thinking is actually flawed right now, because you said, "I don't need to go to church. I don't need to go to the spiritual hospital. I don't need to participate in the body of Christ Himself. I don't need to participate in the bridegroom. Why? Because I can do it myself. You see." And I go, how do you do it yourself? And you say, I use my intellect. And then I said, if your intellect is the thing that is horrid, if your intellect is the thing that's infected, caused by spiritual illness, how can you use the intellect? That's like saying I have an infection and I'm using the pus to heal myself.
Again, I'm not denying the practices or the stated like Christian ethics, et cetera, et cetera. Do you know what I mean?
I know that.
But like in terms of like why I'm not going, uh, like to me, like I just don't, like I said, the my response, I just don't think I need it.
Obviously, your thinking is not right if I just showed how your own thinking is flawed. So what if you didn't know you needed it? How would you know that?
Well, like that's why. But again, in terms of like the public, like I engage in the
Wait,
public.
wait, wait, wait,
You know
Teriak.
what I mean?
How would
Hmm.
you know that you did need it, but you thought you didn't? How would you know that? That you didn't know you needed it? How would you know that?
because life would become meaningless.
Wait, hold on. You said I don't need it. I said, how would you know that you did need it, but you didn't know you didn't know? You didn't know. You wouldn't know, right? It's impossible, right?
And if you don't know, then you know. Yeah.
So it's the only way
I forgot
to
to
know.
study my epistles.
Okay, so the only way you'll know if you needed it is to go, right?
You know, like I was raised Roman Catholic.
I know that's heretical and leads you to thinking. It leads you to
Yes.
natural theology,
Thinking
right?
bad. Sorry, yeah.
No,
Sorry, go ahead.
thinking good, thinking good. It's just that your reasoning can't bring you to this because as I just showed you from the Orthodox view, Teriak, and I think this is what's so, I don't want to say frustrating. It's just because I know you a bit, that you really are after the truth, and yet you're philosophically grounded, right? You're interested in this, and you're looking for a paradigm that's wholly complete, right? Completely intact, right? And you're given it. All the people you know that you're drawn to, we're giving it to, and you're going, well, I just don't think I need it. You're trying to pick off from the shelf without checking out, right? And so the thing is, the beautiful thing about Orthodoxy, and you in particular, Teriak, is that you're going to really adapt to it quickly because of this want that you have. For instance, if you learn the distinction, the nous, in Orthodoxy, you can abandon this creature called intellect. And so the other aspect of your reality, which is so important for your participation, is that your nous is another, let's say, metaphysical organ, for a lack of a better category term. And if that is clouded by sin, your intellect, the other apparatus that God gave us, will be clouded in judgment. And so you become spiritually blind. In Orthodoxy, you call it prelest, spiritual delusion. The key component, I would say, not to put you on the spot, but one of the red flags for people in prelest, and I can't make that declaration for you that you're in that. I'm not in the authority to do that, but I will say one indication of it would be, I don't need spiritual healing. I can do it myself. I would say that that is one of the biggest red flags for people who are aware that they could be spiritually misled, but they rely on their own thinking and reasoning as the ultimate barometer for being spiritually unled. They say, well, I go, well, how do you know you're not being spiritually misled? And you say, well, my reasoning. And I'm saying, well, your reasoning, all sorts of people do all sorts of types of reasoning to justify spiritual unwellness and the continuation of practices, right?
But Jim Bob, can you hold yourself accountable?
Ultimately?
Yeah.
No, I mean,
no, just
God
just in general.
I could, well, to certain, for certain things, I'm accountable.
And that's you judging yourself.
Well, no, judgment is different than holding myself accountable. The thing is, I can hold myself to account, but the thing is, what is holding yourself to account if you don't take yourself
developing the rational faculties in order to
no, you're back to natural theology again. What is the use of holding yourself accountable? Let's say I miss the mark and I sin. The accumulation of missing the mark and sinning, am I my own judge? I kind of knock on the courthouse of Jim Bob, and I'm both the person being accused and I'm the judge talking to myself? No. Holding myself to account from a Christian paradigm would be going to the hospital, confessing, participating in the Eucharist.
Yeah, no. In terms of the public,
humility, hold on. Fasting and the rest. There must be a practice for man to hold himself accountable.
I fast every day.
But for what reason?
Because it's healthy.
Well, no, that's materialism.
Jim Bob, if you hold God to be true and the truth is the way, then you by definition you have to admit that God's position can be logically justified. That is what the Logos is.
We're not
what you're saying now, I don't understand.
No. What? Well, no. If you agree the Logos,
you're saying your rationality, Jim. You're saying Teriak, throw away that rationality, and I'm saying I ain't throwing that shit away, Jim Bob.
No. I didn't say throw it away. I said if the rationality part clouded by sinful sin, what I need you to understand is that spiritual illness can affect your rational faculties. Are you saying that's not true?
Yes, and that's why you engage in the public. And you have that metaphysical
so the public is your church.
Yes.
So you participate in other men, not God himself in the public. Would you say the
participate. One
hold
sec,
on,
one sec.
Teriak,
One sec,
Teriak,
one sec. I participate
what
with other
church?
men. One sec, Jim Bob. I participate with
Uh,
other men and engage in metaphysical war.
I know, but the
So
thing is,
we point to the higher power and we make
where?
objective claims. What's
Who?
war? What's one sec? What's World War debate again? Shout out to World War debate. What's World War debate for?
What's it for? I would say
Yeah.
entertainment for one, entertainment. I
Mhm.
would say
And
second
two,
would be to debate certain topics, not always theological based, but ultimately, when it comes
in
down to the
pursuit of the truth.
question, yeah, well, it could be, but not all
Yeah.
entertainment pursues the truth. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah, but
No,
in a way, you could consider that to be a church. There's a stage. There's
no,
there's
not
truth
even close.
being
No, it's not. I would not call that a
no.
church. That's an event space.
Okay.
The church, there's only
And
one
churches are
church.
in a,
So
and
church isn't plural, right?
liturgy is an event.
Well, no, liturgy you could say is an event. It's the work of the people, but it's in a specific context, right? That you're actually participating in eternal, right? You're talking about
Yes.
is God necessary for eternal? Well, I'm pointing you to participation in the eternal, and you're saying no. Let me just stick to
Yes.
the
No,
online
I'm
panel
agreeing with you.
discussions.
No,
So
I've agreed to that. No, I've
what
said I'm saying I'm going to the public, and I'm saying if you're willing to
what
prove me
public?
wrong, then prove me wrong.
No. How is a dude? How are you really equating in the context of spiritual ailments? Are you really saying that when you show up on a panel, even tonight, that's equivalent? That's a adequate substitute to what the spiritual healing would be
No,
liturgically?
no.
Okay, why not?
What I'm saying is that through the strife which came up in the previous debate, through the strife of like both the metaphysical with the physical, that's how you achieve or you develop your rational faculty skills.
Well, no. We already undermine the rational faculties. What I'm pointing to, Teriak,
Mhm.
is if there's
And the
another
eternals.
element, another attribute, let's say another metaphysical organ that's not directly identical to your intellect. What if that thing was clouded and you say, well, I'll just go back to the debate, which is going to the intellect. What I'm saying, Teriak, is I'm asking you to consider if the intellect is clouded and it's clouded by something spiritual. I
Mhm.
said, how do you know you're remedying that? And you said, we'll just go back to the public church and debate more. Well, no, that's more intellect.
No. Yeah, because like those spiritual will manifest as either logic, like contradictions.
No. I'm saying that's still rationality.
Yes.
It's still rational. What I'm saying is spiritual healing would go beyond pure intellect. So you're trying to think your way to healing.
No,
which is
God would.
Thinking yourself to healing is very Catholic. You're really stuck in it. Obviously, your cradle perhaps is that it's so embedded in you to go, yeah, no, Jim Bob, I understand that my intellect can be flawed because of my sinful status. My noose is
Mhm.
clouded, right? Look at it this way, dude. Here's an analogy. Your windshield is your noose, your spiritual noose. So if your noose is clouded with sin, you can't see the road, right? What I'm saying is that you're trying to use the windshield itself to uncloud the windshield. I'm saying, no, you have to use the windshield wiper. I'm saying the windshield wiper is the church. The windshield wiper is not the intellect. The intellect in this analogy is the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't see through the windshield,
that, yeah.
How do you clean the windshield without the proper cleaning tool? And you're saying, well, no, I can do that with the windshield. Is that rational to say I'll clean the windshield with the windshield? No.
Like in the way, no.
Stick with it. Just don't go away. Don't go away.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
Is
sure,
that rational?
Yeah.
Is it rational to say I'll clean the clouded windshield with the windshield?
No.
So you need something to clean the windshield, right?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of the way I see it, Jim Bob, like the what's manifesting now. This is why, like I said, I use the ancient Greeks, is that like Zeus is coming to power, and like in terms of this whole aspect, like if I see the like even if I see the ground that like God is real, God exists, like this aspect, the metaphysical and
You can't
physical,
concede that.
like in,
You can't do that.
I can't even concede. You're not even letting me concede.
No, I won't let you concede on that.
Okay.
Why?
Okay. So
Why?
okay.
Because it
Go ahead.
only gets to a soft theism or soft deism. It's meaningless to say that if you don't hold ultimately to a revelatory system. So, for instance,
Yeah.
that's more intellect and natural theology from your Catholic upbringing
Mhm.
sneaking in, saying, I will
Mhm.
reason myself to God existing. And yet that's bottom up. That's you thinking upward to God. What we're saying is, no, God's existence was revelatory first, then we got knowledge, then we got reasoning. So revelatory from creation gives us the access to using our faculties, our logic, our reasoning, our nous. And the purpose in our thinking, the purpose that you even
Mhm.
have to use your faculties, what would it be if not to know and participate with God? What would it be? What's
Yeah.
the only other thing it could be?
Yeah. So an aspect of this, like if you took a man and fucked him into the middle of the ocean, like no matter what man it is, he's going to fight to try and get his breath. Like there's a survival instinct in human that's undeniable, right?
Okay.
So yeah. So in terms of this aspect of like survival, in terms of like you have to be able to look to the future. That's why I always bring up Prometheus. Prometheia means forethought. You need to be looking to the future. You need to
Teriak,
plan
but the
things out and you plan
question
ahead.
was
Yeah,
really
yeah.
clear. You're not
Yeah,
answering the question.
I am asking why I don't go
Well,
to liturgy.
No. That's not what I asked. I asked you if the purpose of your faculties, if you grant yourself that it's
Mhm.
from God, but you just don't know who God is. I asked you what is the purpose of using your faculties properly, if not to know and participate in God? What else would it be? Why would you use your faculties?
To
For
survive.
what? So survival. So then anything worth surviving is then
Mhm.
good. Anything that produces survival is good then.
But that's how the world works. Like this is the whole
Mm-mm.
force doctrine. No,
No. We don't say that anything used to survive is good. If you had to fuck a pig in front of your family just so you can live, would you
no,
do
you're
it?
saying no. Actually, you're saying where's that coming from? And that's like in terms of like survival.
No.
Like
Survival
forethought
is a
is
world.
like based into your survival. In terms of
No.
like the actual, no, 1 sec. In terms of the
No.
aspect of living, like
No.
you like life cannot exist without meaning.
Well, forget the meaning. Let's just say pure
Technology
survival,
couldn't
right?
exist without meaning.
Well, you're skipping around here. So forget meaning. What if it's just survival is the main feature, right? Take an evolutionary view on this, right? If survival is your ultimate goal, then pursuing truth necessarily isn't your ultimate goal because you can lie to survive, right?
No,
You couldn't lie
because
to
morality.
survive,
No. And this is how you can point to morality.
dude.
Demoralization.
Focus,
1 sec.
focus,
Demoralization is not living in reality.
dude.
It's
Focus.
a bunch of
Cannot.
gaslighting and
No,
shit like that. So
dude.
in terms of
Don't
like
go.
that as an objective phenomenon, that can't be denied either.
You're running. Hold on a second. Stay right here. I asked you, why should we pursue the truth? Why use your faculties? And ultimately you said to survive. I said,
Yes.
can't you lie to survive? That is the not
No.
pursuit of truth. You can't lie to
No.
survive. Really?
It does not work out.
What do you mean it doesn't work out? People lie to survive all the time.
Yes.
So
And
what do you
there's
mean it
even
doesn't work
noble
out?
lies. Yeah, and there's even noble lies. But every time and time again, no empire lasts, Jim Bob.
We're not talking about the lasting empire. We're talking about for whatever amount of
We're talking
time.
about change. We're talking about change.
So look, if your argument is nothing survives, then your whole argument that I pursue truth to survive is moot anyway. You've just defeated your own argument.
How?
If everything just dies, there's no purpose in pursuing the truth to survive if
No,
surviving
everything
is something that
changes.
yeah. So
Part of change, part of life is death.
I understand, but
And
why?
and the spirit in between.
Why pursue truth then if everything is just going to be death?
Because that is meaning, that is life.
No, that's
That
not
is how to
doesn't tell me
survive.
why. No, that doesn't tell me
Yes,
why I should do
life.
that.
Life is survival. Is life surviving?
No,
Can you be living and not? Can you be living and not survive? Would you say he didn't survive, but he's still living?
You could thrive. You can thrive. What do you mean?
This dude didn't survive, but he's still alive.
Teriyaki, I feel like you're the one drinking bourbon tonight, and it's me. It's me who's drinking bourbon, but I
I'm
feel
a
like it's
leprechaun.
you.
I'm a leprechaun. It is what it is.
So,
He's after me.
Is there a difference? Is there a difference?
Wee pot of gold. I'm not letting him get me pot of gold. Yeah, go ahead.
Is there a difference between thriving and surviving?
Yeah, sure.
So the thing is, I asked you, why ought we pursue truth? Because ultimately you're saying, well, I use metaphysics and I do logic and I do all these panels. And this came out of my question about healing. Now, I really shouldn't let you out of the hole of healing because it's ultimately the best thing for you, talking to me right now, because you're arguing that your own intellect can serve as the spiritual hospital. And the spaces of debating, whether it's in Atlantic City or Nashville, is your church. And I'm saying, well, no, the thing that's broken from a spiritual position, if your thinking is broken, that you can be clouded in thought from your own sin, from your own nihilism, from your own torment. If your thinking can be clouded, back to the windshield analogy, what are you using to clean your windshield? If your windshield is the intellect that's fogged, what are you using?
Rational,
Holy fuck, dude.
reason, empirical
Dude,
evidence, logic,
the windshield,
logos.
Dude. Woo. Hold on. If your rationality, thinking, and logic is the clouded windshield, that's what's clouded. What do you use
But that's
to uncloud
one sec.
it?
That would be subjective. That would be subjective. Thing.
So
It has to be objective.
No, hold on. Can your rationality and reasoning and logic be broken and diluted?
Yeah, it can be, possibly. Yeah, correct.
How do you heal that if you're saying the cut heals itself? The snake that bit you,
yes,
to heal it,
we will get there, brother. We will get there, brother. Yes,
hold on.
Yeah, don't worry.
To heal the rattlesnake bite, you just let it bite you again. No, I asked you a very simple question.
You go to the public. You remember we said you go to the public, and then you express
this public
that
we're in
view.
today.
Yeah, this is technically public.
Wait. The public that thinks that boys can have babies, that public?
Yeah, they're retarded.
No, that's the public, right? Wait, hold on.
No, that's one aspect of the public, because you're also part of the public. Are you part of the public, motherfucker?
Okay,
do you think, or do you believe in trans?
No.
Yeah, okay,
no.
There we go. There we go. Okay.
Teriyaki.
Yeah, so let me continue. You go to the public and you voice that. Listen to me, Jim Bob. You go to that and you voice that, and they will point out a contradiction or a mistaken identity or
and how does that spiritual heal you?
It's violating excluded middle. One of the three laws of logic. It'd be illogical.
That's great. How does that spiritually heal you?
Because would you agree that mentally ill or spiritually ill would be that you're illogical?
No, I would say illogical would be the symptom of it. That's what I'm trying to get to.
Yes. So then by pointing out contradiction, you cure it.
No.
Yeah, so by going to the public.
No. They're atheists who point out contradictions in other atheists, right? That doesn't mean they're spiritually healed.
Not fully.
Well, no. What, dude?
Yeah, but with more interaction with the public, if they were to publicly interact with you, they'd be more spiritually healed, correct?
Dude, this is how horrific Catholicism is. It's truly horrific.
Yes or no, Jim Bob? Yes or no? Would they be more spiritually healed if they had an interaction with you?
No.
And they end up going liturgy. They end up going to liturgy, they're not more spiritually healed.
No, now you've added liturgy.
Yes. When I put my ass on the table, you're like, oh shit, yeah, let's get teriyaki in. What I'm saying is, if that was the outcome, would they be more spiritually healed by engaging in the public?
No, absolutely not necessarily. No. In fact, it might be the opposite, teriyaki. It actually might be the case that once you start going to liturgy, that you stop interacting with the public. That actually might create more spiritual healing.
Yeah, so become antisocial.
No, just
and let the Muslims take over Dearborn.
No one said that. That's a different issue than
no one said that. That's what's happening. The reason why it happened is because no one's saying that. But yeah,
no, that's a red herring, because the question is that spiritual healing would need to be required even if Muslims weren't taking over.
Yep, I can agree with that.
Okay, so let's pretend we live in a decadent society where everything's going pretty much how you think it should be going, rationally speaking. There's no Muslims, there's no boys cutting their dicks off and whatnot. Everything's just close to pristine, right? Isn't it still possible that you can fall spiritually?
True, like even in Star Wars.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So forget what's the logical contradiction from a purely secular position out on the debate stage of you acting against yourself in private?
Because it will lead to death, inevitably.
Wait, like what would lead to death?
you would be pursuing death, because even from the aspect of like gaslighting and lies alone, if you subject enough people to lies, what you call sins, all this kind of stuff, leaving them, eventually they lose
what's
the will
death?
to live. They lose their meaning.
Okay, and you mean like physical death, like your body dies? Is that the death you're talking about?
No, this is actually a really good question, Jim Bob. To be fair, just to slip off the mask for a sec. In terms of the like that aspect, once we have the metaphysical thing, get past the atheist, this whole aspect of like the afterlife, you are not just physical, you're also metaphysical. You're like this whole
Oh,
thing of
well,
you're made in the image of God, so beautiful,
oh,
all this kind of
do you
stuff.
think you're
Yeah,
do you think you're made in the image of God?
like in terms of that aspect, like I think that's beautiful poetry for scribing. You're also
Is
part
it
metaphysical,
actual?
which means if your
Wait,
physical
wait, wait.
dies,
Listen,
where does
Jordan
the metaphysical
Peterson.
go?
Hey, what have you been eating raw
Uh,
meat? Calm down, Jordan Peterson.
I actually am
Is it
carnivore, not
is
no
it
joke.
more
Like shout out
is
to my
it
boy JP.
is it more than this is what happens when things are purely symbolic? Another tradition
This is
that
what happens
inside
when
of
you let Rome rule. You know what I'm saying? You start
Good.
letting the
You mean
weirdos in, the
Catholics?
leprechauns and shit.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yes. So
Yeah,
it's
the
very
Romans.
Catholic. It's all very Catholic of you to appeal to symbolism as if that's enough. Well, no. Are you actually made in God's image?
Meaning. Like, what does that mean, Jimbo?
It means that you're made in the image of God in regards to your status. Like, for instance, we're particular and peculiar creatures with purpose in his eyes. And that includes not just our ability to do metaphysics, philosophy, rationality, reasoning, logic, but we have the ability to participate in worship and Christian deontology, that we actually have a duty to our own existence. There's a duty, a moral duty. So do you believe you have a moral duty?
Can I actually just go back and forth on this? Because like I said, please be patient.
Boy,
My
you're
mom did take Tylenol.
you are a
Please be
wiggly
patient. My mom
leprechaun,
did take
bro.
Tylenol. Okay, my mom took Tylenol, Jimbo. Okay.
I feel like you're
But-
halfway in the rainbow.
Yeah. But like no, in terms of in terms of like that aspect of deontology, the issue I have is like, would you be saying like in the cart, if your duty was to let's say not push the trolley, or not push the button for the trolley and let 5 people die because that was the duty opposed to 1, would you press the button or not press the button?
No, I wouldn't know. Under the trolley problem, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if I was doing the right thing.
Can you explain?
I have a duty
because
try.
I suffer with this as well. Because like
No, the trolley problem. Someone is harmed no matter what, and someone's life is going to be taken. And the trolley problem creates kind of a false dilemma in that it assumes that you are the judge of whether or not you did a good action or not, right? But the thing is, if you just didn't know and you just hoped and prayed that you did the right thing and that you would be judged according to the knowledge you had, that's would be true judgment under a Christian paradigm, that you're judged by your knowledge. You don't know the problem. You don't know the right answer, right? But you hope and you pray. You don't know. You could be paralyzed and not do anything. You could choose one or the other. You could burden yourself with what ifs forever, right? That's what Satan wants. Burden yourself with what ifs forever. So the trolley problem isn't really even relevant to this topic. The question is, in your life, day-to-day life, do you have any duties? Because if you think the symbology of being made in God's image is cute, right? That's more intellectualizing. That's more like, well, that's a cute way of saying it. But the thing is, if it's actual, it suddenly changes your perspective on what you do and don't do in your life. One being, Teriak, taking your lazy leprechaun ass to church, you know it all retard.
Yeah, so like the thing that like I say is it's like it's the reason why it's poetic, or it has to be poetic, or it has to rhyme in some sort of ways, because like that's why how the ancient Greeks wrote. And that's why it's stuck in people's mind, because it was that.
Lame, dude.
I'm sorry for trying to explain meaning here. You know, I thought we were all about God here, but anyways, like that's the way I kind of like grasp it, or I try to put it forward. You know what I mean? And like in terms of like
That's really beautiful, Teriak.
Yeah, but in
have you considered writing an AI song about it or something? I'm talking about
the reason. Let me make my point. You just asked me a question and you won't even fucking think. You know what I'm saying? Hogging the stage here. But yeah, no, for reals, like in terms of like this whole thing of like with deontology versus utilitarianism, are you telling me that like if you did know that the outcome was going to be vastly bad, let's say for like Christians as a whole,
you don't?
but
I
the duty
reject
was.
utilitarian. No, I reject utilitarian for that reason. You don't know the future. That's the defeater to utilitarianism. It's a completely hypothetical with the assumption that you have the knowledge of God, which you don't. What you do have is faith in God. What you do have is a praxis. What you do have is a revealed church that you can actually go to deal with these problems, right? And they're not all figured out, by the way. You participate, you fall, you get up, you fall, you get up, you fall. You don't think your way into a hypothetical where you did the right thing, pretending you're the judge, right? That it's the opposite. You're the chief sinner, bro. Do you even believe in sin?
Yeah.
Do you even believe in sin?
Yes.
Yes, it's a really poetic thing. I really like the poetry of sin.
No, I'm complimenting the fact that it is poetic.
When
but
I
it's the
miss
fact
the
that it's
target
poetic,
on,
it's
I
necessary.
sin. Yeah,
It's necessary. Okay.
Okay. Does sin have an effect on you? Does sin have an
even-
effect on you?
Yes.
Okay. Does sin have an effect on your thinking?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. How would you know that you did need the church for spiritual healing? How would you
Interacting
know
with the public.
You would,
Interacting with the
fuck,
public.
dude. You would know.
Like getting
if-
roasted by Jim Bob for 2
Terry,
hours on the
Terry,
debate. Like that might, you know. Well,
No,
sorry,
no,
go ahead.
Terry. If orthodoxy is the true church, how would you know you didn't need that if you've never participated?
Like I'm pretty sure like there's plenty of clips online, all this kind of stuff.
Oh,
like
you
actual liturgies and
fucking,
all this thing.
you're such a, I'm gonna, no TOS. How would you know if you didn't experience it? Watching a video online is not experiencing divine liturgy. So the correct answer, Teriak, if you're an honest person, is I don't know. I don't know, Jim Bob.
I don't know, Jim Bob.
Oh,
Please
glory
tell
to
me more.
God. Glory to God. Just getting this guy to say I don't know tonight is like the win, really. So if you don't know if church, in this case, Orthodox liturgy, if you don't know that's the thing that you actually need, and it's you thought you needed more intellectualism, and that's what I thought, Teriak. You're very reflective of me in my 5 years ago, which I wanted to think my way into all of these things. I wanted to think my way into God, hold on, so that I didn't have to go to church. Guess what? If I have to do that, then I have some obligation, and then I have duties, and then something's needed of me, and then I have to give and all this stuff, right? It seemed totally reasonable to go, if I can just sit in my house with a fucking leprechaun meme hat, I don't have to go do anything. Okay. What I'm saying, Teriak, is
he's also wearing a green hat.
I'm saying your existence of not being demanded of is actually spiritually bad for you.
No, I don't disagree in terms of like the duty aspect and all this kind of stuff. Because like I said, like I do like 1 meal a day, every single day. You know what I mean? Like I do a lot of the practices. I mean, and like I said, like I have no issue with that. But in terms of
dude, what is wrong with you? That's like saying I do math. I'm participating in God because I do math problems every day. That's legalism. What are you, a Jew? What are you, a filthy Jew?
Oy vey. Oy vey. L'chaim. But no, like in terms of
I do lots of things. We do
if
that,
I'm
and
doing,
I do
yeah, but
math,
like,
and then I
no
fast,
criticism,
and
Jim
then,
Bob. Oy
and I have an
vey.
automatic water machine on Sunday, so I don't need to push the button.
Dude,
I'm talking here, but yeah. So like
your excuses to not go to liturgy
if
are
I'm doing,
so sad.
But bro, like what you're basically saying is, what you're trying to say is that Teriak, you're doing a lot of the right things. Become liturgy so you can do more right things. Like motherfucker, if I'm doing the right things anyway.
No, you're not doing the right things because you're just doing actions. That's like saying like atheists could technically just donate some of their money to some fund and they're participating in a godly thing of the thing they reject, right? What I'm telling you is that the participation is the context for the participation is essential, that you can't separate the two. For instance, you believe reading the Bible. Do you ever read the Bible?
Yeah. All the time.
Do you think it's an edifying thing to read the Bible?
Yeah.
100%. Okay. Without a church,
Book of Job, one of the greatest stories ever written.
I understand. So without a church and a tradition, how could it be a good edifying thing to read the Bible?
Yep. Orthodox Church, 100%. Like I said.
Why aren't you going? I don't get it.
Because like I said, I don't think I need it, Jim Bob.
I just told you that you don't know if you need it. What if you don't know you need it?
But like,
I'm just gonna say I don't need it over and over again. Well, you know who else says that? A lot of fucking people. A lot of people say they don't need shit. You know what? You know else when someone says you need help, right? You need to get off heroin. You know what the heroin addict says?
I don't need it.
I don't need it. The fucking junkie.
All right, that's
good.
gonna wrap up the open hour portion of the debate. All right, we're gonna get into the 5-minute closing. Just quick reminder for everyone: if you want to send in questions, we got quite a few super chats to read. So if you want to make sure your question gets read for the 30-minute Q&A after the openers, send it in through a super chat, and we'll make sure we get to it. With that being said, we're going to get into the closing statements here. Teriak, we're going to start with you. Give Jim Bob the last word. So whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
Yeah, again, massive shout out to Jim Bob. Great show. In terms of the back and forth, I think, like I said, to me anyway, in terms of like the being able to take the fight to the eights and say this is the empirical evidence. Whether or not Jim Bob likes it or not is nothing, and whether or not I'll go to the liturgy, find out next time when Teriak meets Jim Bob, you know. But in terms of the whole thing, like that's my current answer, and like I said, things change, you know. And like in terms of the like judging the especially the Orthodox Christian standard and like what's been coming out of that compared to like even just Nala itself, that's a stark difference. And in terms of like what's going on, particularly in England, all this kind of shit, there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out, and it's change is happening. And like I said, in terms of like my aspect, I support the Zeus. Also, like shout out to the Orthodox. Like, why is up with all the Orthodox people have like amazing beards? Like for reals. Like I mean, you should be doing like I said, there's a missed marketing opportunity, Jim Bob. You could do like beard oils.
You can't intellectualize this beard into existence.
I'll leave it at that. But yeah, again, shout out to Jim Bob.
All right. Thank you for that closing statement. And Jim Bob, whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer up with you.
Yeah. I thought maybe this debate was going to be about eternals and the necessity of God, which was conceded fairly early. Kudos to him for not actually believing that's the case. This really not even a debate. It's really a question of Teriak and his existence. That's what's in question tonight. And whether or not, if he does believe in spiritual ailments, and he does believe there needs to be a hospital, and he's simply saying the public is the hospital. I thought I've done enough tonight to showcase that if your hospital is essentially your own intellect, but your own intellect is the thing that's infected, the intellect can't be the hospital. So by saying, well, I go to the church of the public discourse. When you go to the church of the public discourse, you're still using your rationality and reasoning. If your rationality and reasoning is the flawed thing because of your spiritual ailment, then you need something that's not the public discourse of debate and all this stuff. So I'm telling him it's the Orthodox Church to go to the Orthodox Church. He says, I don't need it. I go, how do you know that? He says, his intellect. This is circular, right? If the intellect is the thing that's fooling you in this case, how would you know you're not being fooled by your intellect? He says, well, I go back to the church of the public discourse to talk to degenerates and mostly, no offense, retards. I talk to retards online, and that's my church. Well, no, dude, you don't know what you're missing out. So the invitation still stands. You're completely primed to go. There's actually no reason not to go other than logistics. Maybe you're in a shithole called London. I don't know what you have to do to get to liturgy, but that's really the sole important thing in this conversation completely. Because the thing is, there's no one to repent to, Teriak, in the public discourse. There's no one, you're not confessing your sins to anyone in the public discourse. You're not doing confession on the panels. You're not repenting to anyone on the panels. I would say that's not healing at all. You're just dealing with more intellect. Well, if the intellect is wounded and it's actually your nous, your soul, your spirit, the thing that you need to heal, there's a church for that. There's a hospital for that, right? And your experience of it, Teriak, I know whatever your reasoning is to not go, they're not good enough reasons, and you know it. So when you go, maybe you'll go, oh shit, I didn't know I needed this. Thank you, Jim Bob. I didn't know I needed this. The only thing I had to know if I needed things is my intellect. But I'm saying is, what if, Teriak, in your pursuit of knowledge and your pursuit of philosophy and trying to gather all these good fruits and truth bombs from all these different worldviews, What if the true participation, the reason you were gathering all of that, what if it was the case, the reason you were nesting all of those eggs and nuts into your basket was to actually be pointed to something that was experiential rather than intellectual? What if there's a whole element of your philosophy that's missing, that's experiential and spiritual and not intellectual? I'm saying there is. I'm saying there is that. You got to go to it. You got to go to it. The internet is not fucking church, dude. Internet is not orthodoxy. Thinking your way into the church and healing, that's not it. That's not orthodox. You're not getting any orthodoxy online. Okay? None. Go to church. There's no excuse, Leprechaun boy.
All right. Thank you for that closing statement, Jim Bob. With that, we're going to get it over to the 30-minute Q&A. Before I start up the timer, though, I like to ask a question, usually on both sides. And based off the way this one went, I'll start with Teriak here. So, Teriak, what I'll ask, maybe this will, it was kind of what Jim Bob was asking you. Maybe it'll be a little like shorter for you. If the Orthodox Church has access to the revealed truth, and earlier you admit that you can't independently achieve a metaphysical certainty, what is the rational basis you have to reject the means you admit you lack?
Because in order for there to be progress, there necessarily needs to be a rebellion.
I hate you.
You want to say something to that, Jim Bob?
No, I don't like platitudes. I want to beat people up who do platitudes. That was weak ass shit. It's like a bumper sticker that you have on your refrigerator because you're too afraid to put it on
Read
your car.
Heraclitus, baby. This is why I love the
I don't care,
Greeks.
dude.
It pisses the Christians off when I read the Greek.
No,
Yeah, go ahead.
thinking your way through. You didn't even answer his question, which is if there's something
I did.
missing that's given to
Yeah.
you, that could be given to you, why would you not use it? And you say some
Yeah.
platitude, dude.
I'm
Yeah, like,
no,
what's
but
the
let me
rational
clarify. Let me
basis you have for
clarify.
not-
Let me clarify.
Okay.
I'm not saying that Orthodox is the way. I'm saying it is the best way we currently have.
How do you know that?
Because
Don't
the
talk
way
about-
requires change,
What? You sound like fucking
which requires
Obama, dude.
rebellion. Mhm.
What? So wait, what does orthodoxy have to do with rebellion?
Like, look at Christianity. It was the way. Then there was Rome. It was
No,
like,
there's
we just
always
need
the
to
way.
copy,
No,
copyright this
orthodoxy
shit.
is still the way.
Then there's
okay?
Protestants.
No,
There's more
that's all-
Protestants than there are
Are you
genders,
saying
bro.
rebellion
Pretty
is
sure.
good? Are you saying
That was the
rebellion
first
is
trans.
good?
Protestants are trans Christians.
I agree. So are you saying rebellion is not a good thing?
No, I'm saying rebellion is necessary.
If great, look, if God is eternal and his church is for us, is
Mhm.
that an unchanging church?
If there is a God, there necessarily has to be a Satan, correct? If there's a good, there
No,
has
I
to be an
didn't ask
evil.
about Satan, dude. Focus. If
Mhm.
God exists and he established a church, would it be true?
No, I'm saying in
that
terms of God, in terms of your aspect of God, in terms of that good, then it has to be a necessary and also a
dude,
bad, correct? There
you're
has to be an
not, I
opposite. There
didn't
has to
ask
be a day, there
about
has to be a night.
dualism. I'm not. No, dualism is false. You're still on dualism.
That's what I was saying. In terms of like not only dualism, but then in terms of that aspect of Trinity, where it's also the Spirit, it's the
No.
change.
You're
between the
saying
two.
there's equal positive ontology of these things. Is that you believe that?
What you mean?
Equal ontology of good and bad, light and dark, hot and cold. Do you believe they're equally positive ontologies?
Yeah, what I'm saying is if you're going to depict the hero character, then I'm saying that there necessarily has to be a villain character.
Dude, I'm not talking about protagonist, antagonist, and storytelling. I'm saying if God exists, which you argue,
No,
he
no,
does-
I'm also talking about debate here because, like
Hold
I
on.
said, if we were
You're not
both
letting me
heroes,
finish.
we
I'm
wouldn't
not
have
talking about
anything to
heroes.
say.
I'm
Yeah,
not
go ahead.
talking about heroes. I'm saying if God established a church, you say everything's changing. If God himself, who's unchanging, establishes a church, does it follow that his church is changing like nature's changing?
Yes,
It is. Okay. So on what basis would you believe if God
because
is
we're
unchanging?
human, because we're
Good.
not God.
No. The church is his
And we are
body.
flawed.
If the church is his body and perfect like him, would it follow that the church changes?
No, what I'm saying is there's a concept of that perfect church. Because
no.
we're
If
flawed,
the ch-
because we're
no, no.
human.
No. If God himself is not a concept, but a reality, and his
Yes.
church is his body, right? We're participating in his body. If that were the case, the only way you would believe in a church, right, is if the church itself was in a way uncreated, a way of accessing God himself in participation. Wouldn't that be the only church you would go to? Because everything else would be changing, right? Under your view, everything else would be under change, right?
If that was the quote unquote perfect church, then yeah, that would be the way.
Okay. And if
What I'm
God
saying is
established a
orthodoxy seems to be
church,
the best way.
okay, but if God established a church, if it was true, if it were true that God established a church, wouldn't it be the perfect church?
What do you mean God established a church?
If God, Christ, the second person of Logos incarnate, by the way, Logos, I know you're taking this this philosophical view of the Logos as if like order and reasoning and stuff. No,
I'm taking the actual definition. What
Okay,
does the word
person.
what does word mean?
the
Define
person,
word.
the person, uppercase word, Christ. So if Christ
No.
established a church,
Give the
Tarek.
actual definition.
Tarek, if Christ established a church,
Like, what would be the
Would it-
definition you'd
Dude,
give to
I'm
an
trying to-
atheist?
forget what the word.
Word. Just word.
Just word?
Define word. Yes.
Wait, in what context? Like a word used or lowercase
Yes.
or uppercase?
Like, what does word mean?
Word,
Yes.
lowercase word,
Yes.
a symbolic, written or spoken reference for a referent.
Which would be what?
What do you mean? The word is a
It's-
word.
Yeah.
a
A word. Yeah. A word is one unit of meaning.
A
The
unit
word
of
is meaning. Yes.
I mean,
So when these.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, no. A
Yes.
word. No. The word itself. Word is not identical to meaning.
It
Word,
literally is.
word assumes meaning. Meaning precedes the word. Meaning precedes the word.
Well,
Definitely.
it's all chicken and egg, all this kind of shit.
No,
Like,
no, it's
that-
not,
this-
dude.
No, one sec. This is why
No,
John
it's
1:1
not, bro.
says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was
So,
God." The
yeah,
logos was
meaning.
God.
Yeah, that means
Mhm.
meaning. That means
And
meaning
then because
itself.
what language did John write
is-
in ancient
Dude, is
Greek?
meaning is
And
meaning.
how does Heraclitus define the logos?
Dude, I don't care how Heraclitus defines it. If meaning
It's written
is
in
necess-
ancient Greek.
dude, if meaning is necessarily if meaning itself necessitates God, then meaning,
Mhm.
right? If it comes from God, it precedes our language, doesn't it?
Meaning is God. Yes.
Well, if
Meaning precedes
meaning,
language, and in terms of
Okay.
language, word is the first thing you have to define, and
Okay.
defining that is the
hold
meaning
on,
itself.
hold on, dude, you got to focus here. You said before the lowercase thing called word, just word, like any word, not
Yes.
uppercase word. The lowercase word, the word, you said is meaning.
No, the original word was logos.
No, that's
Was it written in
uppercase.
ancient Greek?
No, that's uppercase word.
Yeah, it's the same word that was used by Heraclitus, the ancient Greek word.
Whether
is
he
a
used
fact.
the word or not, or
That is
what
a
we're
fact.
trying to, dude, I don't know what you're debating here. The distinction between lowercase,
The meaning of the word.
Hold on, dude. Is the meaning of the referent for the word lowercase, like any given word, computer, tablet,
Yes,
cup,
is meaning.
that's different than uppercase the word in John 1, right?
Yes. What was
Okay.
originally written in?
It in Greek, you mean, or in Hebrew?
Ancient Greek. Ancient Greek.
Okay.
The New
what's your
Testament was
point?
written in ancient Greek. And,
What's your point?
And where did John get that word from?
You're saying he got it from Greek philosophers?
Yes.
And what's your point?
When you look to what that actual meaning, you go back to Heraclitus and he defines
What's your
it.
point?
The fundamental law that governs the change across the cosmos.
No, fundamental law requires higher resolution to justify it. Fundamental law doesn't justify.
Yes, it
fundamental
requires
law.
metaphysics. It requires philosophy.
No, it requires a justification for philosophy.
That is the justification.
No,
That's why, like, all
philosophy-
these
Dude,
scientists are
philo-
PhDs.
Dude, you're no different than an atheist right now. You're just ad hoc giving yourself philosophy.
This is why I
and
can't go
meaning.
to liturgy because I get
No,
thrown out.
No, you wouldn't get thrown out. You get healed because this is bad. Because you're arguing, just like Matt Dillahunty would, is that meaning, truth, the logos in reference to Greek, right? Order, rationale, reasoning, this kind of stuff. What we're saying is even a Platonic view of abstract concepts and objects still require a justification. I said, even the Greek conception of logos, order, meaning, truth, this kind of stuff, rationality. What I'm saying is
Came
that
before Christianity.
no, that doesn't. It doesn't
Yes.
come before Christianity.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
In terms of the history, yes, it does.
No,
It was
you're
written-
thinking. No, dude.
It was
you
written
think,
by Heraclitus before it was written by John.
dude, you think Christianity is a chronological creation, don't you?
What I'm saying is that the word that John used to define the word in terms of the
If
meaning that he
Christ-
wanted to convey
If Christ existed,
comes from
if-
Heraclitus.
if Christ is God and eternally uncreated, does he not precede your chronological conception of Christianity?
Yeah, technically God, but that's what Heraclitus
Yeah.
is defining.
Okay, hold on. If
By
word,
word means
if-
God.
I know, if God is a being and the true meaning of logos, rationally speaking, even using your rationality and reasoning, order, truth, rationality, logic, this kind of thing, the
Order to
Greek
chaos.
conception, all of this, that requires a justification that points to a being. So we would say, even in low resolution, Greeks
Mhm.
discovering this conception is a movement still toward higher resolution. What we're saying is God reveals himself and using us, our reasoning and our faculties, right? I'm not against reasoning and faculties. I'm saying through our participation and reasoning and faculties, we come to higher resolution truths. Do you believe that we can progress to higher resolution truths?
Yes, through
Okay.
reason, logos, logic.
Okay. So using a Greek conception of logos, it doesn't follow that just because someone defined it preliminarily as just order, right? This kind of like discovery of like, there's an order to the universe, and the fact that the world is intelligible and our reasoning has purpose, there's something unifying about all of this. What I'm saying is that it makes sense over time that we gain higher resolution when we talk about that and
Yeah,
necessitate
our truth
a
changes over
being.
time.
Our truth changes over time.
Yes,
Excuse me,
because
Oprah?
before
Were you Oprah?
before Heraclitus, there were no
All right,
Christians.
just so that we don't get
No.
too far here. And
Correct. we said there was no
Fine.
Christians before.
we can continue
Heraclitus.
this on the after panel just because we got some questions to get through here, and I still haven't. What I was going to ask for Jim Bob's side here is just because I think everybody would like to hear it. Just if you can, and you're willing, give us like a quick rundown of like tag, just like the simplest explanation of tag. Yeah.
Tag is simply a disjunctive syllogism that goes like X is the necessary precondition for Y. Y exists, therefore X. So God, if we say God is the necessary precondition for knowledge, or you can swap that with truth itself. I like to go with truth. If God is a necessary precondition for truth under the atheist paradigm, then if truth exists, God exists. And so it's disjunctive because it forces the opposition to present an alternative justification for knowledge in this case. So if there's preconditions for knowledge, we argue that the whole entire transcendental argument, that whole category, truth, knowledge, logic, information, meaning, reasoning, universals, particulars, our faculties, our experience, the order of the universe, regularity of nature, and so forth. If that requires a precondition, then it's on the alternative view to give an alternative precondition. It just so happens to be the case that God, the Christian God, and the Orthodox conception in particular, is the only view that can give a holistic justification for the preconditions for the transcendentals and knowledge. No other view can do it. So the challenge in tag is give an alternative justification. What we hear is silence. That's all. That's all we get. Silence.
All right. Thank you for that. And then we're going to get over here to the super chats. So I'm going to run down through mine. I don't have too many on my side. So I'm going to run down through mine first, and then we're going to go through Jim Bob's. And if that fills up the whole 30 minutes, we won't be able to get to the Q&A in the chat. So we'll see how that goes. So to start it up here, let me start the timer. To start it up here, first one that comes in, it's just Bobby saying, I tie strings around the city, it fools God. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Bobby. And then we got next one coming in here is Anthony Salea says, "Is that you, James?" LOL. Inside joke. All right. Thank you, Anthony. And then we got Wicked Wally here for $5. Says, "Remember, any and all hypotheticals must be phrased in a way that puts easy."